defending myself from slander. Okay. Who is the... Brittany, I think I need more. Oh, I was scrolling in the wrong direction, guys. Hi, Misha. I'm not going to ask that question because it's also from Brazil. I'm going to do another screen cap, not screen cap. Now I've got myself thinking. Okay. Everyone asks about the Winchesters. This is from Winchestiel SBN. Everyone asks about the Winchesters, but for you, what is the perfect ending for Castiel? Great question. And I can tell you, Winchestiel SBN, is that a family name? What part of the world are your ancestors from? I will tell you that the ending that we have scripted for Castiel is a very final ending. It is pretty much exactly what I would have wished for. So I'm gonna just tell you that the ending that Castiel, that you will see for Castiel, is the ending that I would have wanted. Oh, Robo OT said, did you see that photo of you on Twitter? Will you address that? So I guess I did address that. Thank you for broaching the topic. I hope that I satisfied your curiosity. Okay, I have to do another screen crap. Why do I keep saying screen crap? Okay. When Aklisha says, when are we getting a new cooking video with me and the kids? Good question. Here's the problem with the kids. They've grown self-conscious of the camera, and they also, West now wants to know what view counts we have, which makes me really uncomfortable. He's like, how many loves did we get? And I don't want him to start thinking like that, because that's how we grown-ups think. So I'm a little bit trying to insulate them from that sort of thing. Mason is still young enough that I can exploit her without her realizing that she's being exploited, which is nice, but I think that ship is about to sail. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I might have to adopt some younger kids and start over with that whole endeavor. Wayward Nupsy. I guess that's an Indian name, because she or he is asking, would I like to do a convention in India? Yeah. Well, either you're Indian or you live in India. We wish to meet you too. I would love nothing more. I've been to India. Actually, it was on, is that the only time I've been there? Yes. It was on that same trip that I was just describing. And I found India to be truly magical. Really loved it. My wife has been 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's a place that I truly cannot wait to come back to. I was working on an idea for a while, which I may resuscitate, which was an idea about a crossover Bollywood movie. So it would be a movie that appeals to both American and Indian audiences. I can't tell you what the narrative arc of that is, because it's pure gold, and I know that you would steal it. But I have been percolating on something, and that would be so fun. I'm enraptured, enthralled by Bollywood. Here is a question from Amanda CW. Does either Dean or Cass consider themselves to be a fatherly figure to Claire Novak as they are to Jack? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had episodes where we touched on like that fatherly nurturing relationship that Cass has anyway toward Claire in this season. We didn't get deep into it. Catherine Newton has gone on to become quite a movie star, so I think we sort of lost her as a cast member to bigger and better things. But we did talk about her in absentia, and I do think that was a very important relationship for Cass. But Jack, for both Dean and Cass and Sam, solidified as like the true child-son figure in the show. Okay, how are we doing? This is a question from GenLove72. If I could have one angel power, what would it be? I would love to be able to... I mean, there's so many things, if you think about it, there's so many things that Castiel could do in the beginning, and he lost all of these incredible powers. Castiel could time travel. That's so amazing. I would take that. I mean, it traditionally took a little wind out of him. He was unconscious for a little while after time traveling, but still pretty cool. I would love to go back and like tell my parents what not to do, things like that. It would really... Castiel, if I had that power, I could go back and I could also be like protective to the younger me against the various bullies that I came across in my childhood. And of course, this is very traditional and kind of low-hanging fruit. But I could also do a little bit of cursory research and then go back in time and pick winning lottery tickets, which is something that we've all wanted to be able to do at some point. All right, I'm going to try to read one of these questions as they go by. Hi from Greece. Somebody, nope. Simply cannot read them. Okay. This is from Moose Squirrel Art. If I could relive any moment from my life, what would it be and why? What a beautiful question. What a beautiful question. I'm actually having this almost montage flashes of different beautiful little moments in my life. One of them was while I was working on Supernatural. It was the birth of my son. I was equally overjoyed with the birth of my daughter, but I just have this very vivid memory of it is in vogue because it has been proven to be biologically and behaviorally important for infants to imprint on their parents, and one way you do that is you have skin-to-skin contact. Almost as soon as the baby is born, you want that child pressed up against your skin. So West was on his mother for a moment, and then he was crying, and there were other things to tend to. So I took him and I held him without my shirt on my chest, and I sang "Summertime" to him, and it is that's probably seared in my memory as like one of the most precious moments. And even just being in the room of having a birth, but when it's your own child, it's very poignant. But there's this ecstatic joy that permeates the air, and combining that with like the first contact with my infant son, my first child. And then singing the song that my dad sang to me when I was a toddler was a very lovely moment that I would like to relive, I think.
Misha, that's so sweet. Oh,
hi, Steph.
Well, hi, Misha. Well, I'm here to tell you that we have randomly selected a fan to come on screen and ask you a question. Are you ready?
No, not at all, but I'll do it anyway. This is all my fault, so let's do it.
All right, let's bring on Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Hi. By the way, I have to tell you, when I pull my knee up like this, and you can see that it's naked, a lot of people are like, oh, on Zoom calls, they're like, oh, I'm naked, I'm not wearing pants, but you can see that I'm really not wearing pants. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm really one. All right, now I'm going to just set the record straight. Okay, I am wearing shorts. How are you, Stacy, and where are you, and what's going on in your life?
I'm in Illinois.
Okay.
And I'm still doing Gish for the first time this year.
Oh, how's that going?
Good. I have a great team this year.
Do you? But it's the first time, right?
Yep.
So you don't know if it's a great team. It actually could be a terrible team, but you have no basis of comparison. All teams could be infinitely better.
I don't know. We've done a lot of challenges so far. So
okay, I'm messing with you.
I know.
To do. I'm sorry to say.
From what I'm reading on Facebook, we've got a good team.
Okay, good. How was what have you created?
I did the Bury Your Feelings, the mask, the calendar for your favorite actor.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Was that Jared Padalecki?
Mm-mm.
No.
Jennifer.
Ah, damn. What is your question?
My question is, what is your favorite dish to cook with Misha?
What is my favorite dish to cook what?
With your daughter, Misha.
Such a good question. Mason is so delightful in the kitchen. She loves to experiment with things. What have we cooked recently? I love things that she, like I love making pizza with her because you can put on whatever toppings you want and she always comes up with something totally weird. I made a video once of her doing that and she ended up putting, and it wasn't like I'm trying to prompt her like do something weird for the fans. She's like, let's put a slice of watermelon and some eggs. Crack some eggs and a slice of watermelon. It was actually very tasty. But Mason also really likes to make sweet treats. I think that the most fun we've had in recent memory was making a birthday cake for a friend. I was like, it's our friend's birthday. We got to make a birthday cake. They decided, West and Mason decided they wanted to make a 7-layer cake. So we made 7 layers of cake, but each one had different food colorings in it. So each layer of cake was a different color. And then they created this frosting. It was their own recipe that literally looked like somebody had vomited on the stack of cakes. And they were so proud of it and thought that it was like so beautiful and so delicious. It's an interesting experiment with cooking with kids. When they participate in the cooking, they're always more interested to try it, but they're almost always proud of what they've made, no matter how catastrophic the creation. And it does show an interesting thing. Like they're not yet at the point in life where they feel bad about themselves. They're not yet overcome by shame. If I had made that cake, I'd be like, oh God, what have I done? It's a disaster. You're gonna hate it. I'm sorry. I tried. They make it, and they're like, look, isn't this beautiful? I made this. Isn't that amazing? So it's an interesting, fleeting glimpse into the precious innocence of childhood. Any other questions? Do you have any other follow-up questions?
Nope, that's all.
Very nice talking to you. Have a good rest of your evening in Illinois. Steph, do you have other people you want to patch in, or should I just keep? I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to keep talking, and then I will. If you want to bring anyone else on, just bring them on. All right. That worked very well, though. It was like this incredible technological feat. Okay. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? So, I'm going to ask a question from this is from Camille Oliveira. Misha, how do you feel about one of the stages at the end of the series, and what do you intend to do after SBN is over? I'm not sure what you're asking. You mean like one of the stages where we shoot, or just being in the stage of being at the end of Supernatural? I'm gonna assume that you're talking about the stage of being at the end of Supernatural, stage in time rather than stage in physical space. To be honest with you, it's an interesting thing because we're going back to finish the series right now. An episode and a half left to shoot. And yet we've taken 4 months off. And is that true? Yeah. And in that interstitial time, it's a big word, but a good one, I think we've all had this interesting experience of actually mourning the end of the show. I had a conversation with another central cast member right after we went home for quarantine, and we were both kind of shell-shocked and way sadder and way more at sea than we had expected to be. It felt like this thing that had been such a cornerstone, such an anchor in our lives for so long was suddenly gone. And it was just a matter of like not having that cathartic moment of wrapping, having a wrap party, saying goodbye to everyone. It was like, you're done. And that abrupt finish was really hard. I'm sure it would have been hard anyway, but it felt like not having that proper ceremonial goodbye made it really tough. And it took us a while to recover from that. But then we went through a process of mourning the end of the show and figuring out what the next phases of our lives were going to be, and percolating on the question of what we want to do next. And not that I personally have come to any decisive conclusions there, but I feel like I've mourned the end of the show already and celebrated the decade plus that I spent on the show as well. So now it's an interesting little, it almost feels like a reunion rather than the end of the show, if that makes sense. It feels like we're going back, and it's going to be like a big hug, say goodbye to everyone, say I love you, and stay in touch, but it's not going to be quite the same as it would have been if we barreled through to finish. Hi, Misha. My name is Bruna. What are your projects after the end of Supernatural? Jarpad Diary is your handle, but I'm going to assume that Bruna is a nickname. Bruna, thank you for asking. I have no idea. I have some projects that I'm working on right now. One is trying to work really hard to get people to go vote in the November elections in the U.S. I think it's really important people vote. So that's been something that I've been putting a lot of thought and energy into. Been trying to put some energy into my kids, trying to get them to remember who I am. I've been wearing a name tag that says Dad, so they can get it like, oh yeah, that's who that guy is that's in our house. And I'm in the process of finishing a book of poetry that I intend to publish if I can find someone to print it for me. I think I'm going to be submitting that to publishers this month. And then, my other big project right now is figuring out what I want to be when I grow up and what I really care about and what I want to do next. I know this isn't therapy, but might as well kill two birds with one stone. Giovanna Souza asks, what is the greatest teaching I will take from Supernatural for the rest of my life? I think there was a lesson. I'm sure there are many lessons that I will take from Supernatural, but I'll give you two. One was work hard, don't complain, do your job. It was really interesting to work on something that was so arduous. It was long days, many times. And the crew on Supernatural worked so much harder than us actors. We always had our trailers to go back in to warm up and relax. There, of course, were very hard days for us, but the crew was there 12, 14, in the beginning, 16 hours a day, working tirelessly 5 days a week, never complaining, never showing up late, never dropping the ball. No one on the crew dropped the ball. I mean, every day someone would mess something up, but it would be quick, it'd be fixed, and everyone knew that they had 120 other people depending on them to keep the ball rolling. So everyone did their job, they did it well. And that work ethic, it was almost like being in a platoon. I mean, it was a really intense work environment. And that work ethic, I actually feel like changed my hardwiring. I think I'm a different person now because of being in that environment. And the other thing that I think was an interesting evolution for me on Supernatural actually happened not on the set, but in my interactions with fans. When I went to my first fan convention, I had this idea that I was like going to cultivate a certain stage persona, that I was going to like present myself as like this cool guy, or I don't even know what I was thinking. I mean, of course, now that you hear me say it, that's absurd. Like, me presenting myself as a cool person is laughable. But at the time, I'd read this book on Marilyn Monroe. It was a history book on Marilyn Monroe about how she had cultivated her public persona. She had cherry-picked from every starlet of the era. She picked her hair color. She picked the shape and size of her nose job, which she got. She picked the dialect, accent, affect that she used, and the way she moved. Everything that about her public persona was cultivated, and that's what catapulted her to the stratospheric success, was one of the arguments of this book. And so I thought I should do the same thing. And I think there are a lot of actors who have successfully done that. Like many actors I have met who are very different people when they're on stage in front of an audience than they are in the comfort of a private conversation. So I tried to do that the first time I went on stage, and the first times I did interviews, and I felt like, oh no, I feel like I'm suffocating. I feel like I could barely get a word out. I was even more inarticulate than I am now. And I realized I can't do this. I have to just be myself. And if that doesn't work, it doesn't work. But this whole notion of trying to present a cultivated representation of myself to this audience of strangers is going to kill me, and I can't do it, so I'm not going to try. And it was incredibly liberating, and definitely something I learned, not from Supernatural, but from the experience of being on Supernatural and the subsequent interviews and panels and interactions with fans. So I keep banging the table because I seem to have dragged this incredibly heavy table to put this laptop on so close to me that I can't sit in the chair without banging it with my knees. But there's too many things on it for me to move it while I'm doing the panel. So sorry for all of the dynamic action. I hope you're not getting seasick. All right, I am going to revisit this little box. Hi. Oh, hello.
Hi, how are you? Look, Misha, that was fantastic. We are actually...
Thank you so much, Steph.
This is great. Thank you. Do you have any parting words for your adoring fans?
I have missed you, Steph. It's true. It's like really. It's funny, like being away from doing the conventions with you guys. It makes me realize how much I appreciated seeing you and chit-chatting in the bowels of hotels across cities in America. So,
well, we miss you too.
Yeah, I hope we can get through this pandemic someday and get to see each other in person. But it's nice to see your face even if it's in 2 dimensions.
You too. And on behalf of the Supernatural family, we are all sending you a big virtual hug. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Misha.
Bye, you guys. Bye.